Close your eyes for just a second. Imagine this. It is early morning. The house is quiet. The light is just beginning to come through the curtains. You are walking to the kitchen, barefoot, half asleep, and then your foot catches the edge of the rug. Just slightly, just for half a second. And in that half second, your whole world stops. Your heart jumps into your throat. Your arms reach out for something, anything. And for one terrifying moment, you genuinely do not know if you are going to catch yourself. Maybe you have already lived that moment. Maybe it happened on the stairs, in the shower, stepping off a curb on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, and maybe you never told anyone because you did not want to worry them, because you told yourself it was nothing, because admitting it out loud would make it real. But here is the truth. That moment of reaching for the wall, that half second of cold fear, is not clumsiness. It is your body sending you a signal. And in Okinawa, Japan, the seniors there learned how to answer that signal a very long time ago. Today I'm going to show you exactly what they do every morning, before breakfast, before anything else. 5 simple movements, 10 minutes, and the science behind why they work is something most Western doctors have never once mentioned to their patients. Stay with me until the end, because the 5th movement, the one that takes less than 30 seconds, may be the most powerful balance tool that exists, and almost nobody in the West is doing it. Here is something that most people never know until it is too late. Most people who lose their independence after 70 do not lose it because of a disease. They lose it because of one single moment. A fall, 1 second, one slip on perfectly ordinary ground, and suddenly everything changes. The hospital, the surgery, the slow, painful months of recovery, and the fear, the quiet, invisible fear that never fully goes away after that. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65. Not heart disease, not stroke, falls. But here's what stops most people cold when they hear it. The fall itself is not where the story begins. The story begins months before, sometimes years before, in moments so small and so quiet that almost nobody notices them. A slight wobble getting out of bed, a hesitation at the top of the stairs, a hand that reaches for the wall in a hallway you have walked through 10,000 times. Small signals, easy to dismiss, easy to blame on tiredness. But in Okinawa, those signals are never ignored, because Japanese seniors understand something that took Western researchers decades to discover. Balance is not something you either have or you don't. Balance is a skill, a living, trainable, improvable skill. And what happens when that skill is quietly left to fade is exactly what happened to a woman named Margaret. And her story starts on an ordinary morning in Bristol with a laundry basket and a moment she has never forgotten. Margaret is 72 years old. She lives in Bristol, England with her husband David, married 48 years. She raised 3 children, worked as a school librarian for nearly 3 decades. She is sharp and warm and funny and fiercely, proudly independent. The first sign came about 2 years ago. She was carrying a laundry basket down the hallway, nothing heavy, same hallway she had walked every day for 20 years. And she drifted, just slightly, just toward the wall. Her shoulder barely brushed it. She steadied herself, kept walking, told herself she was just tired. 3 weeks later, it happened again, this time on the front step. Her hand shot out and grabbed the door frame. She caught herself, looked around quickly to make sure the neighbors hadn't seen, and then she went inside and sat very quietly at the kitchen table for a long time. She made tea she didn't drink. She stared at the window because Margaret's mother had fallen at 74, broken her hip, spent 8 months in rehabilitation, and came out of it smaller, quieter, a version of herself that fit inside 4 walls. Margaret had carried the memory of that for years, and now here she was, grabbing door frames in her own home. She didn't tell David, she didn't call her doctor. Instead, she started making small, quiet adjustments. She held the stair rail with both hands now. She stopped wearing her favorite slip-on shoes. She started parking closer to shop entrances, choosing tables near walls in restaurants, avoiding the cobblestone path in the park she used to love. She didn't realize what she was doing. She was making her world smaller, and here is what breaks my heart about Margaret's story and about the stories of millions of people just like her. She thought she was being careful, but what she was actually doing was surrendering, one small decision at a time, without ever meaning to. The fear of falling was already changing her life before any fall had ever happened, and she deserved so much better than that. So did her grandchildren, who had started noticing that Grandma didn't walk to the park with them anymore. Now, Let me tell you what Margaret discovered and what it has to do with a quiet morning ritual practiced by Japanese seniors in Okinawa for generations, because the answer is simpler than you think, and it starts with understanding something about your own body that almost nobody ever explains. When researchers first traveled to Okinawa to study why seniors there lived so long, they expected to find answers in the food, in the genes, in the medicine. What they did not expect was what they saw every single morning. Before sunrise, before breakfast, in gardens and on narrow village paths and on the stone steps outside ancient temples, the elderly were moving, not jogging, not exercising in any Western sense, just moving slowly through their bodies, intentionally, attentively, like they were having a quiet conversation with themselves before the day began. And the way these seniors moved through the world was striking. They walked on uneven ground without hesitation. They navigated temple steps without grabbing the rail. They shifted weight and changed direction with a fluency that seemed to belong to much younger bodies. What was their secret? It was not strength, it was not speed, it was communication, specifically the communication between their feet and their brains. Here's the part most doctors never explain. Your balance does not live in your legs. It lives in a three-way conversation between your eyes, your inner ear, and thousands of tiny nerve sensors in your feet and ankles called proprioceptors. Think of proprioceptors like a live GPS system for your body. They send constant signals to your brain, telling it exactly where you are in space, whether you are tilting, whether the ground shifted, whether a correction is needed. After 60, and especially after 70, those signals start arriving late, like a phone call with a bad connection. And when the signal arrives late, the correction comes too late. That is why people fall on ground they have walked safely for decades, not because their legs gave out, because the message was delayed. And the most powerful way to sharpen that communication again is exactly what those Okinawan seniors were doing every morning on their garden paths. Let me show you the 5 movements, and I promise you, by the time we reach number 5, you will understand why Margaret cried the first time she did it successfully. Movement 1, the 10-second stand. Before I tell you how to do this, I want to tell you why it matters. Imagine your balance system is like a telephone exchange. Thousands of tiny signals constantly routing between your feet and your brain. When that exchange is busy and active, the messages move fast, corrections happen instantly. But when it sits quiet for months or years, the lines go slow, rusty, unreliable. The 10-second stand switches that exchange back on fully every morning. Here is how. Stand near your kitchen counter, place your fingertips lightly on the surface, lift 1 foot just 1 inch off the ground, and hold for 10 seconds. That is the whole movement. But inside that 10 seconds, every proprioceptor in your standing foot is firing. Every stabilizing muscle from your toes to your hip is working. Your brain is receiving signals and learning to process them faster. 3 sets on each foot every morning. Margaret could barely hold 5 seconds in week 1. By week 4, she was at 10 seconds, barely touching the counter. She told David that week, "I feel like I'm getting my ground back." She had no idea yet how right she was. But there is a movement coming later in this routine that targets something even more important, something hidden, something that quietly determines whether you are safe, even in the dark. First, movement 2, heel to toe, rocking stand tall, feet hip-width apart, counter nearby. Slowly rock forward onto your toes, hold 2 seconds, rock back onto your heels, hold 2 seconds, 10 repetitions. This sounds almost too simple. But the ankle is the foundation of your entire balance system. It is the first thing that touches the ground, the first responder when a stumble begins. Modern life has made our ankles quiet. Flat floors, thick shoes, no variety, no challenge. This movement wakes the ankle back up, restores the range of motion, reactivates the sensors that send critical ground information to your brain. In Okinawa, this happens naturally. Garden paths, temple steps, uneven stone courtyards. Their ankles never go quiet. Ours need a little help, Margaret said after her first week of rocking. I felt muscles in my shins I had completely forgotten existed. That feeling of something reawakening, that is exactly what progress feels like. Movement 3, the tandem walk. Find a straight line on your floor, a floorboard edge, a tile grout line. Walk forward, placing one foot directly in front of the other. Heel touching toe, 10 steps forward, turn carefully, 10 steps back. 2 sets. Here is why this is so powerful. Normal walking gives you a wide, stable base. Balance is relatively easy. Tandem walking narrows that base to almost nothing. Every single step demands full balance system engagement. But here is the part that makes it truly special: the mild concentration required to place each foot. That gentle mental effort mimics real life exactly, because in real life, stumbles don't happen when you are fully focused. They happen when you are thinking about something else, carrying something, talking, distracted. Tandem walking trains your body to protect you even when your mind is elsewhere. Margaret told me something wonderful. She was in her kitchen thinking about her grandchildren coming to visit. She stepped over the cat without looking down, without hesitating, without touching the wall. Her body just handled it. She stood there for a moment and laughed out loud. Now, movement 4 is the shortest one, barely 2 minutes, and you can do it sitting down. But do not let that fool you. What it does for your ankles and feet may surprise you completely. Movement 4, seated ankle circles. Sit in a sturdy chair, lift one foot slightly, draw 10 slow circles with your toes in one direction, then 10 in the other. Switch feet, repeat, 2 minutes total. The ankle joint receives more sensory information about the ground than almost any other part of your body, but years of flat surfaces and supportive shoes cause it to stiffen, to become less responsive, less able to catch you when the ground shifts unexpectedly. Ankle circles restore that responsiveness, lubricate the joint, reawaken the sensors. Margaret started doing these during her morning news. Automatic within a week, she told David, "It is the easiest thing I do, and somehow I think it is the most important." She was almost right, because movement 5, the final movement, is the most important one of all, and it is the one that surprised Margaret most, the one that revealed something she did not even know was happening, something invisible, something that had been quietly putting her at risk every single night. Movement 5, eyes closed, standing. Stand at your counter, both hands resting lightly on the surface, feet hip-width apart. Gently close your eyes. Hold for 10 seconds. That is it. When your eyes are open, your brain uses the room around you, the walls, the horizon, the furniture, to understand where your body is. Visual information does most of the balance work. Close your eyes and all of that disappears. Now your proprioceptors must do everything alone. And for most people over 60, what happens next is shocking. The wobbling begins almost immediately, within 2 or 3 seconds, and it reveals something important. It shows exactly how much the body has been depending on vision, and how little it has been trusting those foot sensors. This matters most in one very specific situation: getting up in the night, walking to the bathroom in the dark, moving through a dim hallway at 3 a.m. That is when falls happen most often. And that is exactly the condition this movement trains you for. With daily practice, 10 seconds becomes 20, then 30. The proprioceptors strengthen. The brain learns to trust them in the dark. Margaret's first attempt lasted 4 seconds. She grabbed the counter and stood very still for a moment after. Not embarrassed, just quiet, because she suddenly understood something she had never understood before. She said to David that night at dinner, "I think I've been afraid of the dark in my own house. I just didn't know that's what it was." He reached across the table and held her hand. 2 months later, she held 22 seconds, eyes closed, steady, calm, and she was no longer afraid of the dark. Need to pause here for a moment, because I want you to truly understand what is at stake, not just physically, but in every part of life. When balance quietly begins to decline, the first casualty is not the body, it is the heart. A small invisible fear moves in, like Margaret's fear, the kind you carry alone, the kind that makes you check twice before stepping off a curb, that makes you hold the rail with both hands, that makes you say no to things you used to say yes to without thinking. That fear leads to less movement leads to weaker muscles lead to less balance, and then one day, on perfectly ordinary ground, in perfectly ordinary shoes, the domino that started falling months ago finally reaches the end of the line, and after the fall, the world gets smaller still. This is how independence is lost, not dramatically, not all at once, quietly, one small surrender at a time. But here is what I need you to hear right now. That chain can be broken at any point with 10 minutes every morning, before the tea, before the news, before anything else. 10 minutes that say to your body, I am here, I am paying attention, I am not done yet. And to show you exactly where to begin, here is your plan. No gym, no equipment, no complicated schedule, just 7 mornings and 5 simple movements. Day 1, only the 10-second stand, 3 sets each side, nothing else, just begin. Day 2, add heel-to-toe rocking, 10 repetitions, 2 movements now. Day 3, add tandem walking, 10 steps forward and back, twice. Day 4, add seated ankle circles, 10 circles each direction, each foot. Day 5, add eyes closed, standing, 10 seconds, 3 attempts, counter nearby. Day 6, all 5 movements together, less than 10 minutes. Day 7, do them again, and notice one thing, just one, something that feels even slightly easier than day 1. That one thing is everything. It is evidence that your body has already started responding, already started rebuilding, already started protecting you. I want to tell you something that the science confirms clearly, repeatedly, across dozens of studies conducted on 4 continents. Balance can be improved at any age, not slowly, not after years of effort, within weeks. A study following adults in their late 70s through a 10-week balance program found significant measurable improvement in stability, walking confidence, and fall risk. Their late 70s, significant improvement in weeks. The body does not stop responding to the right signals. It simply needs them consistently, daily, the way Okinawan seniors have understood for generations. Margaret is proof. 4 seconds with eyes closed in week 1, 22 seconds in week 8. She walks to the corner shop now without holding David's arm. Not because he does not offer, because she does not need it. She booked a trip to Edinburgh last spring to visit her daughter. They walked the cobblestone streets of the old town together, up the steep hills, through the weekend crowds, into coffee shops with awkward front steps. Margaret navigated every single one. At the top of the Royal Mile, she stopped, looked out over the city below, felt the cold Scottish wind on her face and the solid ground beneath her feet, and she sent her daughter a photograph of that moment. Standing tall, smiling wide, arms slightly open like someone who has reclaimed something precious. She wrote underneath it, I got my ground. I want to ask you something personal. What does independence mean to you? Not the concept, not the word, the feeling of it. Is it walking to your own front door without a second thought, driving yourself wherever you want to go, climbing the stairs in your own home without gripping the rail? Is it getting down on the floor with your grandchildren and back up again under your own power, being the grandparent who shows up to the park, who walks the beach, who is still fully present and fully there? Is it traveling, taking that trip you have imagined for years, walking through a city you have always wanted to see and feeling your legs carry you confidently through every street? Because strong balance is not really about balance. It is about all of that. It is about being free inside your own life, moving through your own home without fear, walking through the world without hesitation, being who you have always been for as long as possible. Every morning in Okinawa, Kenji steps outside before the sun is fully up, walks the same stone path he has walked for 70 years, moves through his morning routine without thinking, without planning, just living at 91, fully, freely, confidently. And when researchers asked him what his secret was, he smiled and said something very simple. He said, I listen to my body and I answer it. That is all he does. Every morning, Margaret listens now too, and she answers. She is going to Rome in the autumn, her and David, a trip they had talked about for 30 years and almost stopped believing would happen. She told me last week on the phone, I am not afraid anymore. And I did not realize how long I had been afraid until I stopped being afraid. That sentence stayed with me because that is what 10 minutes every morning can give you. Not just steady feet, a life without that quiet, invisible fear. Your legs have places to take you, people to walk toward, moments that are waiting. Start tomorrow morning before the tea, before the news. 10 minutes because your independence is worth 10 minutes and you are not done yet. Before you go, you earned something today. Comment the word Japan below this video right now. Just that one word, Japan. And I will send you your completely free Japanese longevity plan. The full morning balance routine written out step by step so you always have it, so you never have to search for it. And I want to know one thing from you before you leave. Which movement surprised you most? Was it the eyes closed standing, the tandem walk, something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your answer helps me make better videos for this community every single week. If this video helped you, please share it with someone you care about, a friend, a family member, someone who deserves to feel safe and confident in their own body. And if you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe to Ageless Daily 50. Every week, we bring you the very best of Japanese longevity wisdom for living strong, free, and fully alive after 50. Kenji is 91 and still walking. Margaret got her ground back, and you are just getting started. I will see you in the next video.